Hey, welcome back to No Hype Beer Reviews. Unless it's your first time, then welcome. Please consider subscribing. If you do, hit the notification bell, get all the updates. Let's say for today's video, it's Thursday, and Thursdays I try to do Thursdays Thirsty Thoughts, come up with a topic, or like this one, someone who watches suggests a topic, speak on it, and then hopefully it engages the people who are watching to comment below, and then we get some conversations going. It's really nice. So this one comes from the mighty T-Rex himself. And it was an interesting one as an American to get his, he's from England, and it was essentially like, what's the difference between, or is there a difference between session drinking and binge drinking? And, you know, I for someone who runs a channel where I review beer, I do take drinking very seriously in terms of responsibility. I think I've talked about a little bit on the channel, you know, like some alcoholism in my family. I was late to trying alcohol, you know, nervous that maybe I had that addiction within me. Then in college, I saw people, you know, certainly people abusing, which we'll get into with binge drinking in this video, but also people who could just, you know, have a few drinks, have fun, you know, move on with their lives and didn't cause problems, you know. So it felt safe to try and you know, definitely did not exhibit any of those. So it is something that I think about. I try not to binge drink, but the session drinking is interesting because I do think I have done that several times in recent memory, whereas binge drinking, I really try not to do. So I had to relook up the terms just to kind of get definitions for this. And I think part of what's going to be interesting about this topic is the perception, you know, like the European drinking perception and the American, I mean, drinking perception, but also like the drinking culture. And I think in the United States, we're much more likely to binge drink. So you know, I'm a relatively big guy. I'm 6'4", 235 pounds. So, you know, I looked up for a male, binge drinking is 5 or more drinks within the span of 2 hours, which kind of like my gut tells me like that's how I would have defined it anyway. 4, 5, 6 drinks in, you know, pretty close proximity, 2 hours makes sense. Whereas session, to me, in some of the stuff I saw on the internet, is a little bit more spread out. It might be the same number of drinks, but again, a little bit more spread out. So one of the differences to me, and again, I know you know, words mean things and definitions are important. To me, binge drinking is the rapid succession of the drinking, and then if you did that for 2 hours, you're probably continuing to do that. That's what I try to avoid. I recently went to my first soccer game ever, you know, amateur, professional, whatever. It was New York City's MLS team. And we just had a great time. I went with my neighbor, who's also from England, and he used the word session drinking, which was kind of interesting. He's like, well, we had a good session, didn't we, as we were on the train ride back, in terms of our drinking. And it got me thinking about this topic, and I was going back and forth if I wanted to do it, because talking about binge drinking can be a little odd for me. So I'm like, no, I think I can navigate this. And so it got me thinking, okay, so on that trip, we got to the train station at 2 p.m. I had a beer there. Then we're on the train for an hour, went to a bar, had one drink. About an hour later, we checked out a different bar. I had another drink. About an hour later, checked out a third bar. So I'm up to 4 drinks, but over the span of 4 hours. And then got to the stadium, had one more beer. So I did hit that 5 beer mark, but it was over the span between 2 p.m. and I got that last one at 7:30 and then drank it till about 8:15 or so. So that's you know, by definition, that's a session, spread out, a lot of water, a lot of food, felt great the whole time, felt great the next day. Whereas I think if it had been more of the binge drinking, same amount of volume, but shorter amount of time, the next day I might not have felt as good, you know? So to me, that's the difference. But again, I'm approaching this from the US point of view. So maybe people watching abroad might have a little different take on this. But yeah, I definitely want to avoid binge drinking at all costs. It's not what I'm about. Hence me reviewing a beer a day. That's my drinking habits typically. But yeah, so what are you guys saying? Session drinking versus binge drinking, are they the same? Are they different? Is it more nuanced? Did I miss anything? Did I overemphasize anything? Comment section below. Let's get a conversation going. Once you're done doing that, make sure you check me out on Instagram and on Tapped. It's No Hype Beer Reviews at both those places. So please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, imbibe. Cheers, everyone.